I can't really play new video games because it's pretty much a full-time job, and so I replay old games that have really stood out to me. The things that have handled the test of time or whatever the fuck, whatever, or and still to me I still appreciate. And so I replayed Ocarina of Time, and I recently saw that they're going to be making a remake, which I will probably end up playing because Ocarina of Time I think is my favorite game of all time, as it is most people. It's just a perfect amount of time. There's a perfect amount of, I mean, obviously it's not a perfect game. They had to cut some things for time. They cut out an entire temple. They still to this day maybe could fucking throw a DLC thing. So I have this idea. So we'll just go with imagine if they could keep the game as it is, and it honestly is perfect. There's nothing that they need to change or anything really. I love the music, obviously, not only the soundtrack but also teaching you about music. That time and time again, that if you play a lot of these games, they teach you how to play music. If you are paying attention, you can literally learn how to play music. They teach you very simple fucking melodies to get into more complex stuff, and it's a beautiful thing, man, because the possibilities are nearly infinite. Getting back to this so I played the game a number of times, and they cut out the Temple of Light. So it would have been kind of cool. So they could have done one of two things. I mean, I'm not saying they have to do this, and maybe they shouldn't do this. Maybe this is a dumb idea. But it'd be kind of cool in some games where you beat the final boss, but there's still a little bit of the game left because there's still a little bit of evil in the world. So you vanquish the big bad guy. So now you got to go and fucking take out the rest of he's got a couple henchmen that could potentially, maybe they'll take the throne or whatever, and then maybe they'll gain power and whatever. So you got to clean it all out. And maybe they're not the remaining stuff is not as powerful as the main boss or whatever, but it's kind of like a nice little congratulations, you fucking beat this game. Now enjoy the rest of the just like you are the chosen one, you are the hero, you are the main character. This game is now your time to wipe out all of evil. Just an imagination, because in real life you probably can't do that. You probably won't be able to ever wipe out evil or whatever. So in this game, you just imagine that that's what you're doing, or making it so that all that's left is maybe a seed or something like that, or just some fragments that will never come back to fruition or regenerate itself. Obviously, once again, Ganon's in limbo. Ganondorf is sent into limbo. But so we got Temple of Light. So imagine if there's, we'll just stick to the game doesn't change at all. They just added a temple. So you beat Ganondorf, and it's like, okay, so now all that's left is to clean up the Temple of Light. Imagine if once again you've pretty much wiped out all of evil, and all that's left is just there's Ganondorf has left one more fucking mark on the most cherished part, Temple of Light or whatever. And you just gotta go in there and you just gotta wipe it out or whatever. And maybe there's a little bit more, some mini bosses that you're on your way that are in the Hyrule field. I'm sure that once again they wouldn't have been able to do this because of the storage or whatever. But that would have been kind of cool. Or if they did a plan B where it's so you got young Link and his 3 temples, and then you got adult Link and do the first 3 temples, and then you do Ganondorf, and then you got 3 more temples after that. Wouldn't that been kind of fucking dope? Isn't there 3 more temples after that? Right? I forgot what Spirit Temple, and then you got Shadow Temple and Light Temple. Wouldn't that been kind of cool? But they don't have to change it. Once again, this game's fucking perfect the way it is. It is a beautiful fucking game. I replayed it, and I was playing on Switch 2, and I didn't save it properly. You're supposed to do checkpoints or whatever the fuck, not actually save it in the game. And I got to the Shadow Temple, and I closed out the software or whatever, the Nintendo 64 software emulator, whatever the fuck, for Switch 2, and I turned it back on, and lo and behold, I'm back at the fucking Mountain Temple, or Fire Temple, excuse me. And I'm like, motherfucker, I gotta do all that all over again. And I'm pretty thorough with my shit. Whether it's OCD or obsessive compulsive, it's just or I'm just really appreciating this fucking game. I'm just going through all of it, and I gotta get all the Scatolas again. I gotta fucking get all of it, and I gotta go and do a couple extra things that I didn't get every heart container, which I could have, but I just decided not to, because by that point it's just I probably would have had to look up a list or some kind of helper, or whatever the fuck they're called, a fact guide or whatever the fuck they're called, strategy guide, whatever the fuck they're called, whatever you want to call it. So, I beat the game recently again. It was I love Majora's Mask for the masks. I mean, I love these games both equally, but I do probably got to give it to the first one, to Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask could have been a little bit longer, I think. But, I mean, with all the concepts and all the shit going on, I imagine that's the reason why I was limited. But the game that's all about budgeting time, the Majora's Mask. But we'll talk about that another time. But this one is just like budgeting the longevity, just like thinking about things in long term, or that Majora's Mask about thinking about things in short term. And how much you can do within a short amount of time compared to how much you're going to have to do within a long amount of time. And just like preparing yourself for that. And a lot of times, as a kid, I didn't, I definitely grew up a late bloomer of sorts. You know what I mean? I'm 33. I feel like I'm only like maybe like my 20s or whatever in terms of like fucking my thought processes and stuff like that. So, and it literally happens where Link is trapped for 7 years. But I'm sure some of us feel like we've been trapped in time for a little bit of time. I mean, just I don't know. And like, if only we can get those years back or whatever. I think it's just also like this, once again in a video game, or at least in Ocarina of Time, after you beat everybody or you beat, Ganondorf and shit, you get to have your years as a child again. So, anyway, if only like once again we got to go back in time and got to talk to our younger selves, or we got to explain, certain things, or to comfort our younger selves, to be like, everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna go through a lot of things, or once again, like Link. I think I might have talked about this. Like, Link is pretty much the only person in his timeline that is aware that he is a hero of time. Essentially, nobody else is even aware of that because it hasn't happened. But he experienced that entire fucking thing. He did all that, and the only person who essentially remembers all that is him. So he's got all the memories of an adult trapped in a child's body. Now, it's some kind of things, like, they always had, like, wouldn't it be beautiful if you had, you knew what you know now, but you got to be like 8 years old again or something like that. Would you do things differently? It's like, yeah, most fucking likely. So, it's kind of a beautiful fucking story, though. I mean, and so sometimes we don't really realize the consequences of our actions sometimes. And I felt like for the last at least 10 years, a lot of people were focusing on the villain side and trying to humanize the villain or whatever, how villains are not as evil and they're not as blah blah blah. But like, when you start giving sympathy to that, some people start misinterpreting it and going like, oh, so that can be a villain. It's okay to be a bad guy. I guess like, the whole anti-hero thing is kind of alright, or it depends. Like, I think of like Wolverine, for example, from Marvel, and there's plenty of other fucking people, but like, I think we do need this. Sometimes you need that concrete, like, what is good and what's bad, and like, don't do bad things, because bad things hurt people, and you are a person amongst people. So, I mean, and do we only get one hero of time? Can't you or I or anybody can we have more than one hero of time? Can we have more than one hero in life? Fuck yeah. This story isn't just because the reason you aren't Link, I'm not Link. That doesn't mean we can't be like Link. It doesn't mean we can't do good, that we can't like give back to our community, that we can't like, I mean, obviously, maybe we don't know all the answers, and maybe once again, the no good deed goes unpunished. So maybe there will be consequences that there's things that we've done, plenty of times where civilizations have done something, thinking they've done good things, but only for it to, fuck up in another way. Like, it's like taking a medication. It makes you do this. It helps you it helps your original symptom or ailment or whatever, but then it has a side effect which now makes you have to maybe even take another medication to solve that thing, and it just could potentially go on and on and on. But that's besides the point. Sometimes you have no choice. Sometimes that's what keeps you alive. So, with that being said, I mean, it's my favorite song has to be the Forest Temple. I love Link's fucking voice kind of echoing and shit. That's badass. Zora's Domain is really fucking badass. Goron City. I think those are probably my favorite three. We'll say that. I mean, the music is so fucking beautiful. It's so beautiful, man. But it's also like, once again, like showing like how you can, if you use a limited palette, if you only have so many colors, how it is possible to reuse them and have a cohesiveness to it, but it's all still different. So, my favorite item, Mirror Shield. I think that shit's kind of dope. I do also like the blue tunic and also red tunic. I don't know if they have a like a Goron tunic and Zora's tunic. I don't know if they're actually specifically called something or they're just colored tunics. I know obviously they have special powers to them, but a hook shot would be dope if those were real. I mean, obviously, I think physics wise, it actually would be very dangerous and probably would kill us if anything got in the way as we were, hook shotting closer to wherever the fuck we were gonna go. So, yeah, Zoras are dope. I fucking love Zoras, and that's why I love Majora's Mask so much, because you got to play as a Zora. But I'll talk about that another time. I think that's pretty much all I can. I mean, I could talk about other things, but so I got footage of playing Shadow Link. Shadow Link's got to be my favorite boss, dude. And I got footage of this super cinematic fucking, like, I'm just like, it was fucking awesome, dude. I hope I kept it. I hope I got to keep it. But yeah, man, fucking A.